this year I have read 19 books and I'm like halfway through my 20th book, which is good because halfway through the year I wanted to be on 20 books so that by the end of the year I reach my Goodreads goal of 40 books. So woohoo! One of them was one of my favorite books of all time, but it is a reread, so I'm not going to count it as part of this question. Instead, I'm going to choose a new favorite book that I read this year and knew nothing about, and that is Caraval by Stephanie Garber. I loved this book. I had no real high expectations from it. I've heard both good and bad reviews. I wanted to make my own opinion of it. When I started it, I was like, this is interesting, this is nice. But as the story developed and as the characters progressed and as things kept going, I fell completely in love. So this is probably my favorite book that I've read so far this year. Question 2 is the best sequel you've read this year. I read a lot of new books this year. I read about 4 or 5 sequels, so it was very difficult to pinpoint again which one was my best, but it was definitely Winter, the final in the Lunar Chronicles, probably partly because it's the final and, you know, it's just, it had to be read, it had to be loved, it had to be devoured, but also just the characters in it and everything that happens in the story and just the action and the pacing and the wonder. Just definitely Winter was my favorite sequel so far of 2018. Question 3 is a new release that you haven't read yet but want to. I have so many answers for this question, but I'm gonna go with one that released I think in May, and I'm so excited to get it. It is available in my bookstore at last. I have been waiting for it for, you know, a very long time because they make you wait for a very long time for these things, and that is War Storm, the 4th in the Red Queen series by Victoria Aveyard. Question 4 is the most anticipated release for the second half of 2018. I actually have been very fortunate this year that most, or if not all, the books that I'm looking forward to, or at least the books that I can think of, have come out or are coming out in this half of the year. So I got A Court of Frost and Starlight, I'm getting War Storm, and one book that I'm really anticipating coming out, which has actually just come out or a couple of weeks ago and should be in my bookstore very soon, is A Reaper at the Gates by Sabbath Tahir. So yeah, that's my most anticipated release, although it's already released. I have not yet got it in my hands, and yeah, I can't think of any books that are coming out in the next half of the year that I want. There's also, of course, Legendary, which is the second to Caraval, but that also has come out. I just need to get to the bookstore. I just need to get to the bookstore! Question 5 is biggest disappointment. I, fortunately, have not read many disappointing books this year. However, there have been a couple of books that were slower than I would have liked, or not as much oomph as I would have liked, and I would say that my most disappointing read of this year is The Subtle Knife, which is the second in Philip Pullman's Golden Compass series. I'm still looking forward to reading the rest of it. I still enjoyed a lot of it, but there were parts of the book that I felt really dragged, and parts of it seemed very redundant and repetitive, so that was probably, if I had to choose a disappointing book, my most disappointing book of this year. Question 6 is my biggest surprise of this year, and that was The School for Good and Evil by Soman Chamaney. Because I've seen this book around, mostly the trailers. I've seen the trailers and I absolutely love the trailers. And since I saw the trailers, I've been like, that looks fantastic, I want to read it. But I didn't have any high hopes. It was just a very cute middle grade story that looked fun and the trailers were amazing. But when I read it, I was actually pleasantly surprised and drifted away into a magical world. And it was crazy, it was kooky, and it was madness, and there was friendship, and there was love, and there was and I really enjoyed it. It's definitely a fun, fast-paced middle grade read. Question 7 is favorite new author, as in new to me or a debut author. I cannot decide between the new authors that I've read this year. One of them is the author of my favorite book of this year, and that is Stephanie Garber, who wrote Caraval. So yes, I thoroughly enjoyed this book. As I've said, I thoroughly enjoy Stephanie Garber's writing, and I'm looking forward to next books coming from her. My second favorite author of 2018, because I seriously cannot narrow it down, is actually a debut author of 2018, and that is Tomi Adeyemi, the author of Children in Blood and Bone. This book is just captivating. It's so great. It was so close between deciding between this and Caraval, and I'm still actually slightly torn between the two, but I just remember reading Caraval and having a lot of moments, so that's what made me choose it. But this book was such a close second to being my favorite of 2018, and yes, Tomi Adeyemi is a new favorite author of mine. And the third and final new favorite author of mine is Alexandra Bracken, the author of Passenger. I love, for her, it's purely the writing. I mean, I enjoyed the story, but her more so is the writing, the tension, the way she puts things together. It's just magnificent. I love her style. I cannot wait to read Wayfarer, I believe is the second one in this one, and also her Darkest Mind series, which I've heard such great things about. Question 8 is newest fictional crush, and I'm gonna go with somebody I'm currently reading about, but I'm almost finished, and that is Kel from A Darkest Shade of Magic. He's magical, he's powerful, he's generous, he's self-sacrificing, he's funny, he's witty, he's charming, he's Kel. And side note, this could quite possibly be my favorite book of 2018 out of all of them, but since I haven't finished it yet, I'm not including it in read books. Question 9 is newest favorite character. Of course, if he's my newest favorite crush, he's definitely one of my favorite characters, which is Kel. I also love Lila, who is his partner in crime in this awesome book, but since I already used this book, I'm also going to say that I fell in love with Kyra this year, who is in Carve the Mark, and she is just awesome and a badass, kind of like Lila, who I love in this one. And yeah, she's also a warrior, and she's kind, but she's got to fight, and she's got internal conflicts, and she's powerful, and it's just great. Question 10 is a book that made you cry. For this, I have two. They didn't make me sob my heart out or anything, but they definitely tugged at the heartstrings and gave me some shocking tears, like, oh my god, what's happening? And some sad tears and some happy tears, and just roller coaster of a ride. And one of those is Half Wild by Sally Green, which is the second to the Half Bad series. And this book is just full of twists and turns and surprises around every corner, and the main character, you just love him, and he doesn't have the best life. It's not his choice to live what he's living, and he tries to get things, and things seem to be going well, and then they just fall apart, and then they are going well, and it's just, whoo! I need the next one, and it definitely made me tear up. The second one is a book that I absolutely loved and almost became my favorite. I really can't just decide my favorite of this year. There's so many good ones. But this one is Our Dark Duet by V.E. Schwab, the second in the Verity series after This Savage Song. And I also cried at this one and I teared up. These were mostly sad or angry tears, and it's just what a ride. What a ride. Question 11 is book that made you happy, and I know I've already used this book, but it genuinely did make me the happiest out of all the books that I've read this year besides the reread of Harry Potter, and that was Winter. It was just the perfect ending. It was so nice to see how all my lovely beloved characters end up and what happens in their lives and the connections that they make and how, you know, things transpire in this crazy battle, and you know, there's ups and downs. It's definitely not all roses, but it definitely made me the happiest. It was a great ending to a magnificent series. So magnificent. Question 12 is most beautiful book you've bought this year. That one was also a toughie because I just love books. I mean, I like look at my bookshelf and I'm just like, it's just so beautiful. So beautiful. So it's very hard for me to pinpoint, like, yeah, that one was the most beautiful that I bought, but it's a book that I bought this year that I do think is beautiful that I have not mentioned yet on this tag, and that is The Cruel Prince by Holly Black, which I'm hoping to get to in the very near future. I love the branches, I love the crown, I love how the title is outlined in gold, and I love the font, and I love the green beetle because it really just pops. So I have to say that I think that The Cruel Prince cover is beautiful, and it is possibly the most beautiful book that I have bought this year. The 13th question is, what books do you have to read before the end of the year? And that list could go on and on. I mean, it's too much to say, but definitely all the sequels that I've mentioned, such as Warstorm, Reap at the Gates, Legendary, la 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 la. And one book that actually my friend gave to me to borrow, which has been so highly recommended by not just her, but by my other friends and by celebrities, and everyone's just talking about this book. I mean, they've been talking about it for years, and that is The Alchemist by Paulo Coelho. Paulo Coelho, I think that's how it's pronounced. It's just a short little book, so I know I can get through it, and I'm definitely going to get through it because I'm determined to read this book this year because apparently it's just so incredible, and it's a fable about following your dream, which is just right up my street. And that is all for the mid-year freak out book tag. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it, and if you did enjoy it, please consider giving it a thumbs up, and if you like all my other videos, then please consider subscribing. And until next time, I'll see you. Bye!